and welcome on my podcast, Zita the Good Witch. And this is my first episode in English, and I've decided to introduce myself at first and share with you all why I am a feminist, because I believe that if I am to talk about feminism and feminist topics in my future episodes, I think I should tell people firstly who I am and why I am a feminist. I used to live in New York and I loved it. I used to live there for almost 5 years. I'm from Slovakia and I grew up here. And then once I finished my high school, I went abroad. I lived in Prague for a couple of years, for almost a year in São Paulo, and I spent a couple more months outside of my country in countries like Italy. I think that's it when it comes to living abroad. I've traveled a lot, I've seen a lot, and I think overall, today I can say that I have a good perspective. I've been to China as well. I just want to mention that at least I've been to North Africa, like Egypt and Tunisia, and so I've seen many cultures, and they're still similar. I mean, cultures are so brutally different from each other, but patriarchy rules all of them, and it was like that in New York as well. So I just thought to myself that I'll talk about it later when I get there. But that was the reason why I went there, was because I thought that I can flourish there as a feminist. I flourished there as an artist, but as a feminist, not at all. And feminism is my passion. It is an ideology, but I have no political interests when I decide to start a podcast. It's just to raise awareness, explain nothing, just talk about things that at least women will appreciate. I'm also testing. I want to see how many people actually would listen to my English version, because I started this podcast in my language, which is Slovak. Anyway, let's start about why I became a feminist. Well, my mom told me I am a feminist when I was 13 years old. I had no idea what it meant. But that was the first time somebody told me that I'm a feminist, and it was my mother. And it was when my father left the house and went to work, and for a millionth time I witnessed him eat his breakfast and not clean up after himself. And my mom would always come after him, clean up after him. And one morning I just decided to, make a comment. I was like, I don't see a reason why is it this way, that you're cleaning after him. Like, I don't see any logic, any reason for you to actually do that. And she said, you're a feminist. And I mean, it was, as you can hear in my voice, that it was hard for me to accept that I am a female and I'm witnessing something like that. I was 13 years old and I was like, what's this? I started to be more interested in how things went between my parents, And eventually I would hear my mom say, as I was like growing up, getting older, my mom would tell me that if I was born in a Muslim family, they would like burn me down. And I was just like, what kind of a comment is that? You know, like, what do you mean? I mean, I understand. You're the mind that stays open. You're the opening of a shell. You're the shell that hides a pearl. You're the pearl that's big and swollen with iridescence because you stuck around. Your price is gonna die. You're a guy that eats pussy well. You're a well of reasons to keep crashing, to keep crashing. I was doing adult things, like going out and hanging out and dating, and I realized that people are not interested in my opinion at the table. When I was sitting with men, it was just men talking, and we girls were quiet. That was so funny. What else you have to say? You know, like, who wants to take that role? Seriously? I was like, is this what my life is going to look like? And I definitely felt inferior to men in sense that I could not like a, how can I say it? It was the society that was, the surrounding that was making me feel that I am less. Because if you're not allowed to talk, and people don't let you express yourself and accept it and react and have a conversation, then it means that you are less. So you start to, this was really hard for me. And eventually I would see men purposely doing horrible things to me, purposely. Boyfriends, any guys, you know, like just because they're not so sensitive and emotional, they have no idea how hard it is for us to accept them. See how they thought about doing that before. Like, you could, after something they do, after they've done something, you go back and in time and you try to understand, like, were there any signs, and then you see yes, and it was going there, and they purposely hurt you. And it's not because they want to hurt you, it's because they hate you because you're just a woman. This is true. This is absolutely true. The ignorance men walk with, and the way they enjoy showing off that this is a man's world, and giving women attention when they're interested in them, when they want something from them, but otherwise really not seeing them as equal, is obvious to women. Okay? This is why I am a feminist, because I am not denying my own reality. And men hate or dislike feminists because feminists say these things out loud. That's why. sometimes and have conversations with them, and I was told by 2 different men in 2 different times the same thing. And they both told me that men don't want women like me. And I was like, and who cares? Because you want to, and to both in a different way, but I'm going to try to like put it together and say what I told them when they said it. I told them basically that I know that men like women who are laughing and happy and good energy and positive and only men thought that I'm stupid. And I want it to be authentic. If I feel good in your presence and I am actually attracted to you and I want you to like me, I am going to do all those things. But if I'm not, and they're upset, because they want every woman to desire them when they have a conversation, I don't care. If I'm not attracted to you, you're not getting that vibe, period. I'm not selling out my sexiness to every man, okay? I used to not do that knowingly, but I used to be too young and naive and not really aware of this power I possess, this kind of like very female, happy, positive. But you can drain yourself if you have no idea how many men just take it. You encounter men. Let's say I was living in New York, I was starting my life there, and I would just meet someone. So those small talks would happen just because you were next to someone and it was like, hey, what was blah blah blah, and then you give so much to that man, and it's a stranger, and he's going for that energy, for the female, naive, beautiful energy. Like, he just takes some of it, and then you kind of, it's something you want to preserve for somebody who's special, because otherwise I don't see a point at this age and at this point, knowing so much information about what's happening to women in the world, I don't see no point to go out and entertain this for men, and entertain the idea that this is what my position is supposed to be in the society. I prefer books. I prefer education. I prefer educating. I'm self-educating in so many ways because I have hobbies. I have things that intellectually really stimulate me, like make me feel like I am an intellectual who goes for weird stuff. Like, I'm not gonna say because I'm a Scorpio, people don't understand Scorpios. What I watch, what I'm interested in. I studied journalism. Nobody talks about it, so I'm just a feminist because we need to talk about it, and we need to educate younger women about it. That, girl, he probably doesn't love you, he just wants something. And really, of course, I believe in love. Love is not confusing, okay? So I can use that time I put into my flashy, sparkly, or creating also like sparkle on my face, makeup and all that, and going out and entertain the world. I instead try to educate myself on what because you know, we live in a world where feminists already done something, and we don't want to go backwards. So we need to see.
And I have no doubt that we have occupied the apples of past and future eyes ages ago and ages to come. Space is the place where we come from.
It just crashes you and makes you feel like, because how can I say it's, if you don't know about the history of women, if you don't understand how patriarchy harms women, then you live in a world and in a realm where things are happening to you as a woman and you think you are at fault, and it's not your fault. And so what are they fighting about? Oh, my identity. So it starts there in the Western world, or in the because I'm from Eastern Europe, so it's the same, it's happening here as well. But if we go more south or more east, women have to cover themselves from head to toe, and it's not only spiritual, it's also abuse. Okay, because imagine
What it is, 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 what it is,
because I'm developing my identity as a feminist recently more and more, because I do not buy this American. It's not only Western, but it's not Western, because Western means also Western Europe and America, United States. I'm talking about America. The hair in your armpits, it's not gonna, that's, you know, it's like so superficial, you can tell what issues you have in your country. Like the issue goes much deeper. So I'm just saying this because I witnessed American feminism, and they're amazing feminists, but they're scholars, they're professors, and they write books. But those feminists who are like online, the young women, and at that era when I was there, 2016 to 2020, it was like hairy armpits, like hairy, you know, like also political interested minds, but I don't know how to explain it. When I met them in person, I definitely felt like I witnessed worse.
and a drug, but I'm addicted to this life. There goes my shame, there goes my plan, there goes my name, 'cause I wrote it in the sand. I'm obsessed with this grain of salt, I'm fixated on a grain of sand. Waiting for a speck of sugar.
at some point I realized when I was really trying to become friends with the LGBT community and plus, yeah, and other feminists that it doesn't really work that way. We are not really a community. So I realized that I'm not going to try to talk too much about whatever represents people who I feel in the same pit with, but I can definitely give people an idea what it is to be an Eastern European feminist, because I am one, and I'm a white Eastern European feminist. So yeah, it's better to give people your personal backstory, so they can believe you, because again, you can try to deny my reality, but I don't have to. You cannot make me, because I lived it, you know. And there's so much I would say about like why this
Running down the mountain, a shivering avalanche. There goes my shirt, there goes my plan. Romance to challenge my ambition. Give me that good
I did not know enough, for sure. And I'm a mother today as well, so that also helps me to see the world for what it really is. Because being a mother, becoming a mother, gives you a whole nother spectrum of ways men abuse women, and or ways patriarchy abuses women when they are starting, you know, to raise a new human.
The same old town. I'm still building mountains underground. I'm still grinding.
Then I tell women who have no children, and they're like, "What? You're kidding me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't know." Because, you know, you don't have kids, you don't look up and you don't ask lawyers about your rights as a mother to your child. And it's something that also gives you, motherhood is also something that really confirms your what can feel like a prejudice before you have children about men. Like, oh, once you have children, you know who they are, you for sure. Like, it's not like, oh, he was just a bad guy. No, they're all the same in a certain way, and that is that they all benefit from patriarchy, and they're not ashamed of it. In my town, for example, or country, but in my town where I come from, men see women leaving, they experience them, their partners are leaving them. It's also happening here. Women are really getting fed up. And what they say is that, oh, nothing is enough for you back in the days. And I was like, yeah, but we are not in the fucking communism anymore, or socialism, call it whatever, you know. It's socially accepted. A woman is not excluded when she leaves the man, you know. But they say, I don't know, you want too much, you know, always mentioning male's nature. It's like really backwards there. sure. But once you're locked with a man in the room, in his apartment, to get like alone, they're the same animals. Yeah, I'm not gonna go there because I don't really care. But it was definitely one of the reasons why I decided to leave New York. I was like, well, if this is not better here, then I can just stay at home. Because you have to consider your personal life. And my personal life, because I went to New York to also better or find better for my personal life. But I was there for my career. But I felt the same way in Brazil. I was like, wow, it's so bad. It's so bad. I'm a Virgo sign, and I have a Scorpio moon sign, so I am like the most frigid and the most sexual signs in one person. So that makes me really judge people when they act like animals. That's the Virgo in me. I'm just like, like I can get that animalistic with someone, but not like live like that. I really appreciate. Just like, how can I explain this? My culture, I would say. I was like, if it's the same bad, it's but in a different way. So in a very different way. For example, in Brazil, men, they will hit on you at the bar, but they will not force you to drink or kind of try to push you or change your mind or like give you, I don't know, they literally feel like they're pressuring you, and then if you don't choose to go along with them. If anything, and telling them, oh, you don't like my tits, maybe you can find somebody else, because she knows she can, but Brazilian girls are like love it's different. I couldn't kind of like, and being out and like the amount of time they have sex with strangers to me was kind of creeping me out. Like I would go to the beach with my friends. There were a couple. My best friend.
You don't have to budget your affection. Nothing sticks to something this way. Yeah, it's dangerous.
So, what are other reasons why I became a feminist? There are so many. It's so many reasons. I told myself that I have so much stuff saved on my Instagram that I saved for myself and for the work I want to do. So I'm just gonna read a couple posts because I think they're very deep and I relate to all of them, because I also have said enough about myself. So, the patriarchal man who would never respond to demands from his boss with overt rage and abuse will respond with fury when intimates want him to change his behavior. Men who do not daily lie and cheat at their jobs do so in their intimate bonds. So true.
Spill the milk on the sand. Pussyfoot around me on my chest. Redecorate.
You need a very robust ego to be a feminist. You need a massive amount of faith in yourself and your right to be seen and heard in order to be a warrior against patriarchy, because it is war. And one of the most effective ways that patriarchy disarms us and leaves us insufficiently prepared for the war is by stripping us of our demand and expectation of attention. And so we must seize it, demand it, command it. Nothing threatens the patriarchy more than a woman unafraid to demand attention. I own my body, not the state, not the street, and not the home. I own my body, not the temple, not the church, not the mosque, nor any other house of worship. I own my body. I broke up with a man because he started balding and gained a little weight. I told him, I am biologically a visual creature. That's just to give you an idea what it feels like when we are judged by whether we are young or not. Only 2% of medical research funding is dedicated to women's health, and it would take at least $1 trillion to bridge the gap. Yet women are expected not to be angry, and that the systemic oppression of women by capitalism, patriarchy, and men is completely imagined. Some men I didn't know posted that a woman abused him online. So I replied with, "You're lying, you just want attention and to ruin her life." Unless we draw the connection between the misogyny of the state and the street and the home, and unless we emphasize the need for a social and sexual revolution, our political revolutions will fail. Just as important, women will never be free to live as autonomous citizens whose bodily integrity is safe inside and outside the home. Women, this is one of my favorites, even though, not too deep. Women get addressed by Miss, Mrs, or whatever. I don't know this English. It's the same language. We say pani and slečna. It's like to
Burst into
we are asking whether she's married. Like, come on. I admire how men always choose themselves first. I think women should do the same. Some others feel robbed of their motherhood experiences because while they should have been enjoying and soaking up every moment, they were busy fighting in a survival mode. In our society, when a man messes up, the blame often shifts to women, who with remarks like, "His wife should have chosen better," or "Women should raise better sons." But when a woman messes up, no one says her husband should have chosen better or they should raise better daughters.
I'm awake and back. It's my guardian angel whispering a song. Our phoenix rising from the wreckage.
What else can I say in this episode? I'm not a bad feminist. I'm not a good feminist. I'm an ugly feminist. To be ugly is to disobey. To be ugly is to be independent. To be an ugly feminist is to be the alchemist who bangs the two together and creates fusion. Ugly is not about aesthetics, but about power. Ugly feminists are like graffiti on a subway train. Once it finally reveals itself to you, you never want to go back. Ugly feminists are like that graffiti. Ugly to exactly the right kinds of people. Any man who isn't motivating you, teaching you, or investing in you is simply a distraction. And this is so true, please. This is so true. Couldn't agree more. The reason your grandmother didn't leave your grandfather has less to do with some moral compass or law than you think. Until 1964, an employer could refuse to hire you because you were a woman. Until 1974, refusing to sell a woman a home was legal. And I think they're still speaking of the United States. Until 1988, you could refuse to rent a woman with children. 1988. I was born in 1989. Okay? Contrary to what people believe, women didn't stay because relationships were better. They stayed because society wasn't designed for their independence. And that was what I was also trying to point out when I was talking about the men that I hear to complain today in my time. I'm just like, yeah, you think that they wanted to stay. His mom, which was actually otherwise, I mean, a very, very, very almost like worshipped person in our family, because she was like she was a very good person, but she would change my grandma's mom so she stayed with her son, even though he was beating them all drunk. My mom, my mom's sisters, and my grandma. So, and I have, my mom gave me I have her name, so I have to kind of like accept that there's so many conflicted information about my great grandma, who was so worshipped in my family that my mom got in her name and I got in her name, but in the end I disagree with her in so many ways, and I'm just like, why I have her name, It's just the times they were living in were so abusive to women, and they are still, but it wasn't only because of poverty or something. It was because we didn't let women be independent. It wasn't normal, and so they stayed with abusive men. And can, use the information for something, and the awareness can. If a haircut can become a worldwide, like trend. Like, if boys and young men all around the whole world wear the same haircut, then why important information about liberation of women couldn't be spread around, you know? It's the women who need to hear this. It's the women who need to. It's the other women outside myself, right? All of us, we need other women to speak our truth and just hear it sometimes, because we turn on the radio, we turn on the TV, everything is, except sometimes, but it's always like, oh, this actress made a feminist comment. Yeah, and it's just something so
of everything I feel like as taking
we're not doing anything bad and we're not doing anything wrong. So at this point, at least for me, and I believe that once people hear my perspective and knowledge that I know I carry, I think that people will be able to understand what's the problem. And especially women, like, you know, because trust me, there's so many women who still don't know why things are happening to them because their mothers didn't know. It's like we are still not where we want to be. We are still not liberated. We will be free the day we go out and we don't do majority for the men. Like the majority of the things we do, we don't do for men. That's when we will know we are liberated. And when there will be more people accepting that women can just do whatever the fuck they want, not get married, have 6 children, have no children, choose their career, and at that point when we will be free, the media and the society will not be commenting on that non-stop. When that happens, that's when we can say that we are free. But until we are constantly reminded what we have to do, which is becoming a wife, becoming a mother. You know, Jennifer Aniston is like that we do that to women, and women cannot focus on their purpose because of all this noise. And I think that it's good to just create something else than that noise, you know, repeating the same mistakes, existing on the autopilot, which is based on misogyny and internalized misogyny, like, oh, okay, now there is a woman, she's pretty, okay, she's a bitch, I hate her, okay, whatever. Like, this is all brainwashing, you know. It's like we see other women as competition because men are afraid of us when we are I'm going to end up right here and hopefully see a nice number under this episode, because I personally think there's so much content, even feminist content on the internet in English, that I feel like I feel like I don't have enough time to like make the same make the same episode in both languages. So I'm just trying to decide how am I going to do this. And my English is also my second language. It's not my mother language, so it's a little bit harder to express myself